Are you a fine artist confused by DPI, PPI, and image resolution? Your reputation relies on how your audience perceives your art's images. In this video, we'll clear up any confusion surrounding image resolution so you can set up your images the right way and your art can get noticed, win hearts, sales, awards, and opportunities without the stress or confusion. Hi, I'm Sonia Wilkinson of Pro Art Presentation. Are you an artist or creative running a business? Are you interested in boosting sales and awards? I believe looking and being pro are key to personal and professional success. Let's get into it. So rather than just talking about pixels and dots, I thought I would show you each so you can kind of wrap your head around the differences and how they relate to each other and to image resolution. So this is an image of one of my artworks, and if I zoom in here, you will start to see little tiny squares. Each of these squares is 1 pixel, and each pixel is 1 color. And those pixels, when they come together, form the image. Now to demonstrate dots, as in dots per inch, I've got a layer here, and it's just a simulation of what dots look like. And those are produced during the printing process. When you go to print, that's when pixels become dots. If you want to see actual printed dots, you would need to get a box like this or a magazine or newspaper and get yourself a magnifying glass. This happens to be called a loupe, and it's at 10 times magnification. And what you do is you literally just grab the printed item and have a look, and you will see those dots. So to explain more about the pixels and dots and image resolution, I'm going to go over here to image size. And this is the same for any image editor. You can see here this particular image is 9,000 by 9,000 pixels. It's set to 72. Now 72 is considered the resolution for screens. Industry standard. I know some will say that, one will be 96 pixels per inch or another one will be more or less. But generally speaking, 72 is considered the standard. Now, I'm going to quickly say here that 9,000 is way too large to show on a screen because at no point you will see a screen that is that large. In this case, my monitor, this one here that you're seeing, is 3840 by 2160 pixels. And that means that is way smaller than this image. So at 100%, this image would be ginormous. In fact, have a look. I'm down here in the bottom corner. You will see I'm going to change this to 100. And that is the size of the image that you will see. So I would never share this on the internet, on a website or social media where the general public has access to it because it is large enough to print a very good sized image. So let's have a look at how large it can be in a print resolution. So as I said, this is 9,000 by 9,000 pixels. So what if I change this and I don't want to resample it, which means adjust the image at all. So I'm going to turn that off to start with. I'm going to change this over to inches. And right here, you will never see dots per inch. Because remember, pixels become dots during the printing process. Okay, so we keep that at pixels per inch. And I'm going to change this to 300, which is the industry standard for an ideal print resolution. Now you can go lower, and really the only reason that you would go lower is to save on the file size, let's say for a very large project, such as utility box or mural for a wall or anything like that. I'm working on one, for example, that will be printed at 14 feet high. That is going to be a very large image. So for the most part, for images that large, you would save it as 150 pixels per inch or dots per inch in order to save the file size and have it more easily workable on any kind of computer. So printers often request that images are lower resolution for those really large sizes. So moving on, this is 300 at this point, and you can see here at set to inches, it's 30 inches by 30 inches. That's how large this image can be ultimately. And again, I could make this a little bit smaller at 150, and then that image would be 60 by 60, which is not bad. And in those cases, very likely you're not going to be standing with your nose to the print, so the lower resolution is not going to be as noticeable. It's something to keep in mind. So let's go back to 300. And again, you will never see that dots per inch in this drop-down menu. So you're going to want to just keep in mind that pixels become dots, and it's always 1 to 1. 300 pixels in an inch will be 300 dots in an inch once it's printed. Before you set up the file for a printer, be sure to check with the printer to make sure there aren't any specific things they want. Nobody wants a surprise, least of all you or the printer. It's your reputation, it's their reputation. Plus, if you get it wrong, that's money out the window. It's deadlines that could be missed. There's a whole slew of things. So just check in with the printer first. They actually prefer it when you check in because they know that you're on top of it, you're a professional, and they are very likely going to get the image that they need to give you the results that you expect. Any image that you want to share on a website or social media where the general public has access to it, do not ever show any image that is larger than 1200 pixels. When you have a look at the inch size at that point, it's only 4 inches by 4 inches. That's about this big. And that's not really worth stealing. So let's recap. Pixels are seen on a screen. Image resolution is measured in an image editor by number of pixels per inch, PPI, or pixels per centimeter, PPC. 72 is considered the standard for screen resolution and considered too low for print. Pixels become dots when an image is printed. Image resolution is then called dots per inch, or DPI. When preparing an image for print in an image editor for resolution, remember, pixels per inch equals 1 to 1, dots per inch. So for example, 300 PPI equals 300 DPI. Use 300 DPI for print resolution for a crisp, clean, and accurate result. But you can also go as low as 150 DPI, or pixels per inch in an image editor, for large print jobs. Always check with the printer before you prepare an image for printing to avoid costly mistakes. And never share an image on a website or social media that the general public has access to that is larger than 1200 pixels to avoid theft of a printable image. Now that you understand image resolution, you might have some other questions coming up on topics like color profiles, what's raster and vector, and what file formats do I use? I'm Sonia Wilkinson of ProArt Presentation, and I'll be providing all the answers you need to present art so well your audience can't resist. Topics include digitizing, editing, sharing, and printing handmade art. So hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers for now.